I am building a 1994 Trans Am for autocross performance, but first I need to get a baseline measure of performance. I also need to get my first autocross event under my belt to further understand where I need to improve. Although I am waiting to do major modifications until after my first event, I still do a few small things to get started with the improvements. As seen in my last video, I swapped out the 17 diameter 245mm wide wheels and tires out for C5 Z06 17 by 9.5 265 wide fronts and 18 by 10.5 295 wide rear wheels and tires to improve the overall grip. Fortunately, the staggered setup will endure some understeer that I'll have to fight until we can dial out with future mods. Next, the intake elbow needed some attention. The seal near the throttle body looked cracked and tore as the previous owner tried to repair the leak with some electrical tape. The elbow is also a stock unit that has a resonator tube that impairs flow and has been compared to on the forums to a donkey you-know-what. I ordered the new GM Performance 1LE elbow from Summit Racing. It improves flow by deleting the resonator tube and has a proper seal on the throttle body. The intake elbow cost $100. While the intake elbow was off, I did the stereotypical throttle body upgrade. On LT1s, the factory throttle body has two openings. This causes a space between the two openings. Unfortunately, GM decided not to utilize that space to make a smooth transition to direct the air into each opening, and instead put a recessed space that doesn't flow well. This is one of the few times a throttle body airfoil has been able to actually help performance. A few performance magazines a year ago did some performance mod testing on the LT1 and found the simple airfoil will actually net a couple horsepower over stock. I picked up a basic one from Amazon for $20 and bolted it in. There are nicer ones out there from major brands, but I didn't feel that spending over $100 for something that minor. Outside of the mods, I got the car ready for its first event by cleaning it out, removing the floor mats, checking the fluids, removing the spare tire equipment, and checking the battery. The battery was loose, and further investigation revealed that the lip that held the battery down was broken. Autoport stores did not carry the part, and further investigation revealed that the battery tray is actually part of the coolant overflow tank and cannot be separated from it. The event was coming up soon, so we didn't have time to find a new one in the junkyard. Instead, we found a small piece of angle iron laying around and used it to make a makeshift battery tray lip and bolted it to the overflow tank apparatus without puncturing the overflow tank. Worked perfectly. It'll be stronger than it was before. Finally, we made it to our first event. Since I was building the car for CAM class, I opted to sign up for the CAM T class, but made sure to participate in the novice activities such as novice course walk. I knew I would be outgunned in the CAM T class with a practically stock car, but I wanted to get a feel for the class and to see how far my car really is. It should be noted that my car did not have a catalytic converters anymore, and the stock air filter was swapped out for a cone filter previously, and was also running much wider wheels and tires. I would not have qualified for the stock street class as well as the street touring class. Pulling into the grid, I found myself surrounded by some very well-built cars and seasoned drivers. Multiple Mustangs and fully built late 1960s Firebird. It was clear this was a very competitive class and everyone had built their cars to the limits of the rulebook. In the KMC class next to us, I saw a few newer Camaro 1LEs and Shelby Mustang along with the mid-90s Camaro. The owner of the Camaro zeroed in on my Firebird and came over to chat and gave me some pointers on how to better set up our cars. He also indicated that the KMT class in this region is hyper competitive, and he decided to jump to the KMC class to have a fighting chance. It was interesting to learn this since I assumed the class with the newer muscle cars with better technology and IRS rear suspension would be miles ahead of the older solid axle cars, even with a 300-pound weight disadvantage. It was now time to do our runs. I had only done 2 walkthroughs since we had to pick up some parts prior to the event, so I knew this first run would be just to learn the course better. I started out with 30 psi and chalked the tires to see if I need to adjust the pressure after the runs. The first run was super slow to the point where the car behind me almost caught me. Now that I had a feel for the course, I brought the pressures down 1 to 2 psi after each run until the last two where I stayed at 26 psi since the tires seemed to be at the right spot wear-wise. I got more aggressive each run as I learned the car and got faster each time. On the last run, I really went for it and was on a great run until I overcooked the turn heading towards the final slalom and spun out. I had found the limit of the car in its current form, which I was kind of happy about. Looking at the final results, I was miles behind my competitors. But today wasn't about winning or even being competitive. It was about getting my feet wet in autocross, learning the car, and finding out how far I need to get caught up with the competition. While scanning the results of the other classes, I found the stock class my car would have been in, F Street. Looking at their times, I was happy to see my time was a few tenths faster than the winner of that class. That gives me optimism about my driving, considering how under-modified my car is. No competitors were in the street touring class my car would have been in, so I was not able to compare my time to that class. Overall, it was a successful day and reinforced my desire to compete in autocross and build this car to its full potential. I may consider switching my car to Cam C until I can get my car more sorted and down to the 3,000 pound weight limit. It will be a few months until I can get another event, so it's perfect time to do some major modifications. Thanks for watching and follow along for the next video. The next item we will tackle is the rear suspension.